तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे। मन वाणी का तू है दृष्टा, द्वैत वचन का तू है दृष्टा, तू है साक्षी स्वरूप, तू है साक्षी स्वरूप कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे। जन्म मरण तेरा धर्म नहीं है, पाप पुण्य तेरा कर्म नहीं है, तू है शुद्ध स्वरूप, तू है शुद्ध स्वरूप कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे। पंचकोश से तू है न्यारा, तीन अवस्था से भी न्यारा, तू है अद्वैत स्वरूप, तू है अद्वैत स्वरूप कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे। अग्नि में भी तेज तेरा है, सूर्य में भी प्रकाश तेरा है, तू है ज्योति स्वरूप, तू है ज्योति स्वरूप कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे। तीन लोक का तू है स्वामी, घट घट व्यापक अंतरयामी, जो माला में सूत, जो माला में सूत कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे। प्रेमी अपना रूप पहचानो, जीव ईश में भेद न मानो, तू है ब्रह्म स्वरूप, तू है ब्रह्म स्वरूप कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे, मेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे, तेरा सच्चित आनंद रूप कोई कोई जाने रे। सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे, सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं, सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे, सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं। किं वचनीयं किम वचनीयं, किं वचनीयं किम वचनीयं, किं रचनीयं किम रचनीयं, किं रचनीयं किम रचनीयं। सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे, सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं, सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे, सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं। किं पठनीयं किम पठनीयं, किं पठनीयं किम पठनीयं, किं भजनीयं किमभजनीयं किं भजनीयं किमभजनीयम् सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयम् सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयम् किं भोक्तव्यं किमभोक्तव्यं किं भोक्तव्यं किमभोक्तव्यं किं बोधव्यं किमबोधव्यं किं बोधव्यं किमबोधव्यम् सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयम् सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयम् सर्वत्र सदा हंसध्यानं सर्वत्र सदा हंसध्यानं कर्तव्यं भो मुक्तिनिदानं कर्तव्यं भो मुक्तिनिदानम् सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयम् सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे सर्वं ब्रह्ममयम् सर्वं ब्रह्ममयं रे रे सर्वं भवहरणं तव रूपग्रहणं भवहरणं तव पादसेवनं मम रक्षकम् तव पादसेवनं मम रक्षकम् त्वं हि मनोहरणं सच्चिदानन्द त्वं हि मनोहरणं सच्चिदानन्द त्वं हि मनोहरणं चिन्मयानन्द त्वं हि मनोहरणं चिन्मयानन्द त्वं हि मनोहरणं सच्चिदानन्द त्वं हि मनोहरणं सच्चिदानन्द सच्चिदानन्द चिन्मयानन्द सच्चिदानन्द चिन्मयानन्द तव नाम स्मरणं मम जीवनं तव नाम श्रवणं परमानन्दम् ॐ गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ 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 ॐ गुरुनाथ जय गुरुनाथ। हरि को हर में देखा साधो हरि को हर में देखा हरि को हर में देखा हरि को हर में देखा आप माल और आप खजाना आप माल और आप माल और आप खजाना, आप खर्चन वाला। आप गली में भिक्षा मांगे, आप गली में भिक्षा मांगे, हाथ में लेके प्याला। साधो हरि को हर में देखा, हरि को हर में देखा, हरि को हर में देखा। आप नैना आप शैना, आप नैना आप शैना, आप कंबल काला। आप नैना आप शैना, आप कंबल काला। आप गोद में आप खिलावे, आप गोद में आप खिलावे, आप मोहन बाला। साधो हरि को हर में देखा, हरि को हर में देखा, हरि को हर में देखा। ठाकुर द्वारे ब्राह्मण बैठा, ठाकुर द्वारे ब्राह्मण बैठा, मक्का में दरवेशा। ठाकुर द्वारे ब्राह्मण बैठा, मक्का में दरवेशा। कहत कबीरा सुनो भाई साधो, कहत कबीरा सुनो भाई साधो, हरि जैसे का तैसा। साधो हरि को हर में देखा, हरि को हर में देखा, हरि को हर में देखा। रे मन प्रति सांस पुकार यही, जय राम हरे घन श्याम हरे। रे मन प्रति सांस पुकार यही, जय राम हरे घन श्याम हरे। तन नौका का पतवार यही, जय राम हरे घन श्याम हरे। तन नौका का पतवार यही, जय राम हरे घन श्याम हरे। जग में व्यापक आधार यही, जग में व्यापक आधार यही, जग में लेता अवतार यही, जग में लेता अवतार यही। है निराकार साकार यही, है निराकार सा।
our new hospital, Swamiji, I mean superintendent of the hospital, Swami Dayadhipanandaji. He will introduce our speaker, Maharaj.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. As we all know, Ramakrishna Mutt is celebrating its centenary celebrations, and we have programs planned throughout the year. Recently, we had the opportunity to listen to Ramcharitmanas. We all enjoyed. Today, we have a special monk who is dear to all of us, who is very well known to us, who will be speaking on the topic Vedantic Mysticism. Swami Satyamayananda joined the Ramakrishna Mission Order in the year 1988 at our Advaita Ashram, Kolkata. He is initiated by Swami Bhuteshananji, the 12th President of the Order. He served in various capacities in the Advaita Ashram. He was our training center Acharya. Then he also took up the responsibility of the Prabuddha Bharata editor. Later on, he became the head of the center in our Ramakrishna Mission, Kanpur. After that, he was posted to our center in the United States, that is Hollywood. From there, now he is at our Vedanta Society of Seattle. Swamiji is the minister in charge there. As we know, the Vedanta Society of Seattle was started by Swami Vividishananji, then Swami Bhaskaranji. Now Swamiji heads the Vedanta Society. Mainly the services rendered by our Vedanta Society is preaching Vedanta, doing spiritual counseling, and we also have a magazine from that center, and they have a bookstall and retreats. So we had the good fortune to be his student in our training center. Swamiji is known for his well-versed talks on Vedanta and very loving Swami. So I welcome Swami Satyamayananda on behalf of all of us here, the monks and the devotees of Ramakrishna Ashram Mission here at Mumbai. So also I welcome the viewers who are watching this live telecast on the YouTube of our ashram. So this brief introduction, now I welcome our Swamiji. My Sashtanga pranams to Swamiji.
Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Netapaharine. Thank you, Dayadipananda, for the brief introduction. I would like to convey my gratitude to Swami Satyadevananda Ji Maharaj, Adhyaksha of Ramakrishna Mutt, Mumbai, for giving me this opportunity to speak on this topic. I'm also honored and also in a kind of a trepidation, because as I was introduced that yes, he was an Acharya, I myself am honored to be here because my Acharya, Swami Nirantarananda Ji Maharaj, is here present. And with great humility, I would say that I've learnt a lot from him. My pranams to all the senior Swamis, ladies and gentlemen. Today's topic is mysticism. I remember growing up, I'd seen a huge picture of Swami Vivekananda. I was growing up, of course, and there was a saying of Swamiji, unity in variety is a plan of creation. And it hit me in such a way. And that has been with me for all these years. Mysticism is nothing but this finding the unity in variety. The key word here is oneness. And this will be the burden of my talk. Okay. This idea of oneness was propounded by Advaita Vedanta for thousands of years. And now it's getting its impetus by the language of science. There is no one who can say that all life is distinct. We have all sprung from one, the tree of life. So everything is connected. So this is demonstrated on the scientific level, and that's the basis of morality. And on the spiritual level, it becomes what is called mysticism. As we go in through some of these salient points, I would like to point out some of the distinctive ideas of this idea of Vedantic mysticism. Before I can go into it, it is one of the highest experience that a human mind is capable of. And unfortunately, for the ignorant, that is the goal of life, Sri Ramakrishna says. Every religion has begun with a mystical experience. Every religion. And that experience has been expressed later through doctrines of philosophy, theology, mythology, and then brought down to the everyday, the sensory and the motor nerves in our body, and made into rituals. So the second key word is experience and expression. Okay. And the expressions have been varied according to that original experience. Like Sri Ramakrishna says, all jackals howl alike there. They speak the same language, but the expression always differs. And it has to, according to the climate, according to the culture, according to everything else, the state of your mind also. But at the background, they have been speaking about the same thing. So this has been the human journey. The expression is to recapitulate the original experience. Unfortunately, in some religions, they say, no, you cannot recapitulate the whole thing. But in Vedanta, this has been central. Swamiji is very clear. He's saying, if I eat, you're not going to get satisfied. Your hunger is not going to get. You'll have to eat. And this has been, as I said, put front of everyone, placed front before everyone, that we will have to go through these expressions to that experience. And as I said, the experience is the oneness. Okay. Unfortunately, over these years, mysticism, of course, has always been there in human culture. In every human culture, there has been a subset of people who are uniquely endowed to speak and to experience these things. But in today's world, we want some quick fixes. Mysticism has been, you can say, associated with psychic phenomena. and that has diluted mysticism. Then there's another subculture, especially in the US, that, well, now it's all mushrooms. Not the mushrooms that you eat, of course, psychedelics. And they take this and they say, we've got a peak experience. It's called as some oceanic experiences. These terms are used. And mind expanding, you can say, experiences. But it's nothing. It's just the distortion of the self because of these psychotropic substances in the brain. It's all happening here. We'll explain why things should not happen only here. Okay? Because you're always opening yourself up to delusions. Having said that, let's go into this. Mysticism is described as the belief that union with or absorption into the deity or the absolute, or the spiritual apprehension of knowledge inaccessible to the intellect, may be attained through contemplation or self-surrender. This is the dictionary meaning of mysticism. Is this clear? In Hinduism, we'll take an exception of idea of belief. We don't have to believe in anything. Hinduism is based on the doctrine of karma. And when you have the karma is performed as a form of tapasya, then it becomes very powerful. You don't have to believe in anything. You proceed. And we will see how some of this inquiry proceeded through tapasya. Tapas. Now, after this, what happens is, we'll say, Swamiji is very clear, he's saying, this was practical first, and then philosophical next. Vedanta, you're saying, oh, it's, this morning I was searching for some books on Vedanta, and everybody is recommending this book and that book and this book. I was saying, yeah. So, Vedanta started with its practicality, and Swami Vivekananda is very clear. See, these great kings in the ancient times, they could think out Vedanta, and some of the Upanishads have kings teaching the other rishis. Swamiji says that means it was practical, and they were so busy. Today we are saying there's one mantra today. We have no time. I have no time. You ask a kid, I have no time. You ask an old person in the 90s also, I have no time. So this is one mantra that's going on. So Swamiji is saying, so those kings, they were so busy in the absolute monarchy, yet they had time to think out all these great thoughts and bring it out in their life. So this, it is practice. Second, Swamiji says, Vedanta preaches a known God. You look around and say, where's God? That is exactly where Vedanta starts. It's preaching a known God. It's not preaching a God somewhere in the heavens. What God is doing there, nobody knows. God knows. The idea is, Vedanta is, creator and creation cannot exist separately. If you have creation here, Srishti, you have to have a Srashta here. You cannot have it somewhere there. That breaks the entire theology of people who say that there is something out there. It has to be here. So this is a known God that Vedanta preaches. Now there are a lot of saints and a lot of monks also. They go to this mysticism in search of the sense of I. Find out who you are. A lot of people come to us in the US saying, we read the book, Who Am I? We started the inquiry, who am I, who am I? So I said, no, Nisargadatta Maharaj has written a book, there's a compilation. I am that. You go, read that. Don't say, who am I? I am that. But I told him, don't go around saying, who am I, who am I? They'll say, this guy needs a psychiatrist. So inquiry, it is the most known thing, the sense of I. And yet it's the most unknown thing. Try to find where this I is. You've built your entire life on this sense of I. Try to find where is it. Vedanta throws a challenge. They say you will not be able to find it. So this idea of going and searching for this I means I, Ami. That is the door, of course. But that door has a few other steps and a few other conditions to do this vichara. The first is, this I is always linked to the world outside. It cannot exist without the world. You notice when you go to sleep, there's no I and there's no world also. You noticed it? That's what it is. The I will have always the world outside. That's why Bhagavan Bhashyakara says, Asmad Yushmat Pratyaya Gochara. This I, this sense and the world are complementary. They are two sides of the same thing. So you cannot say the world is an illusion. You have to say this I also is an illusion. And many people, pseudo-Vedantists will say, no, the whole world is, no, the Punjabi Vedanta, Jagat teen kaal mein hai hi nahi. Abhi garam roti le aao. Arre, Jagat teen kaal mein hai hi nahi kehte hain aur bolte garam roti le aao. That's Punjabi Vedanta. Not only Punjabi Vedanta, we are theoreticals, like, it's Indian Vedanta. Unfortunately, that's why Thakur Ma Swamiji has come to show us where we are going wrong. And he gave us the idea of practical Vedanta. So don't go on saying this I and I business has become. It depends on three things. It depends on many things, but then the I and the world. The first doctrine is the Drishti Srishti Vada. The second is Srishti Drishti Vada. And the third is Ajata Vada. Now, what is these big terms? I think those who have read a little Vedanta will understand this. Drishti Srishti Vada is, there is no external world. You create it when you perceive it. Okay, that is okay. How? By adhyasa, superimposition. Now, we won't go into adhyasa because it's a very long topic. Drishti Srishtivad, something is already existing, I perceive it. And the third is Ajatavad, the doctrine of non-origination. So when you start the vichara, inquiry into the I, you will have to either fall in these three categories, one of the three categories. If you don't, then your vichara only will go all wrong. So you have to start there. So this I, it's very mysterious. Mysticism and mystery is two different things, okay? Don't mix up there. Because in Indian philosophy and religion, religion is no mystery. Anything which is hidden, with esoteric, stay away from it. Religion should be broad as daylight and everybody should be able to follow it. So there's no mystery mongering. And Swamiji was very clear about this mystery mongering in religion. I know something, I'm not going to tell you unless you pay me. I have all the secrets of the universe in my pocket. I'm not going to tell you. All these are false claims. The moment you see anybody claiming anything or anybody promising anything, you run away from there. Okay? That's the first thing. Religion is the first thing. Run away from claims. And that's why you see none of our monks make any claims. Yes, otherwise you'll be misleading you. okay, so like Swamiji says, this I is enmeshed in this world. Asmat and Yushmat, they're both part of the same reality. And when you keep on searching one, the other unravels. And it's natural. Yet at the same time, we see also, we have been engaging with this world on multiple levels. You think you have one ego, no? You don't go on believing that you have one ego. That one ego is fragmented. Some sanity keeps you together. So we have multiple personalities called sub-personalities. They are held together by the sense of I. And if the I shakes a little, you will have all mental problems there. The mind has got many forms. Moner Bahurup. So this is what? And this is always attached to the external world. Because it has to have senses, it has to have a mind, it has to have a buddhi, and this external world is apprehended through the senses. And that whatever is apprehended or experienced is translated by the body. If you cannot translate your spirituality through your body, that spirituality has got no value. Yes. And that's why Swamiji came with all his doctrines of karma yoga, etc. He tells Haribhai, so I've opened a new path to moksha. Like Swami Vivekananda. What did he do? Gave lectures, he was a nationalist. No, he opened a new path to moksha. And Hari Maharaj later he says, if anybody works 3 days sincerely, according to what Swamiji has said, they will attain liberation. So he has opened a path, he has shown us this path to it. So we have, as I said, this world and here. But like Paranchi Khani, Vratinat Swayambhu, the self-existent Lord injured the senses by making them go outward. Tasmat Parang Pashyati Nantaratma. That's why we see outside things, not the inner side. Kaschit Dhira, some wise person. Pratyagatmanam Aikshat, wanting to see the Pratyagatman. Avritta Chakshu, with the senses inwards, beholds that indwelling self. So this is known. The method is known now. Your mind goes outside through the senses. Our senses have become so fine. It's one of the finest, you can say, products of evolution. It has been driven by the desire to exist. And this has evolved us. Yet compared to all the other beings, animals, birds, our senses are very limited. Yet we have to work in this. That's why the world that you perceive is a very limited world. Don't think you know everything about the world. It's just impossible because the senses are limited, though it's super fine. So the world that you apprehend is also limited. So in this limited edition of our lives, you have to keep on growing. And you cannot grow through the senses. Swami Vivekananda was told by one person in the US, you come from a land which is dead and buried for 5,000 years, and you're talking about renunciation. And he says, yeah, but that is the only way. So you have to get away from the senses. Why? If you want to really unfold your life to its fullest potential, you'll have to get away from the senses because they are limited. This limited, you can say, senses, however, can be made purified once you detach them from this raga and dvesha. Raga dvesha viyuktestu vishayan indriyascharan. That is what the Gita says. So once you remove this raga and dvesha from the senses, it becomes purified. And it is here that you will find that even through these limited senses, you will see some of the mystery in this universe. Many of you must have gazed at a dancing fire, fire lit, you try to stare into it, you'll get hypnotized. You get transported to a different realm. Same thing with water and air and all these five Pancha Mahabhuta, 5 elements, they have a kind of a mystical quality. There is a mystic running through this creation outside. But the senses have to be pulled out from these two things, Raga and Dvesha. Anybody who has seen the sunrise, they are transported. Or see the protein folding in your cells. It's the most complex thing. Or see the entire galaxies floating about. It's a spiritual experience. So this itself, this mysticism can be apprehended in a very limited way through the senses. And some poets, some nature poets have written about this, and those poets have become part of that literature. So this is telling us that there is a mystical streak within us, within all of us. There is some mysticism running through our fiber, and we have been neglecting it. Why? Because we are running about hundreds of things. So once you can apprehend them at this level, then we can keep on proceeding. Swamiji in one time, he had a great experience at Kakri Ghat in Almora, where he had the experience of the microcosm and the macrocosm. So he saw that the microcosm and the macrocosm are built on the same plan. So he tells Gangadhar, I have seen the universe in an atom. This is what he's saying. Bindu mein Sindhu, they say. If you can see the Sindhu in the Bindu, then you are a Vedanti. Otherwise, you are not. You are seeing only yourself in that Bindu. You are only Bindu then. So within us is that whole macrocosm, the whole universe is within us. That's what I was saying. Even apprehending it through the senses will give you a kind of inkling of that vastness within you. And this is how we start. So Vedanta says, reality is here and now. It removes of distinctions as here and there, this time or that time, etc. It is here. Asti iti eva upalabdhavya. When you start thinking that it is here, asti iti, then only will start attaining it. Tattva bhava prasidati. That thing will start revealing itself to you. So this door, this I, is a door of mysticism. And as I said, that's a very, you can say, very dicey, because you cannot catch it. Why? Because your sense of I is formless. Yeah, you have a body. You ask anybody, where's the mind? They'll show us the brain. This is my brain. That's not your mind. So the mind is formed. The body has form. The mind is formless. And even if you can apprehend your mind and saying this is the form, your buddhi is formless. If the buddhi is formless, then the I also is formless only. So this is how in one of the earliest Upanishads called the Taittiriya Upanishad, an inquiry starts. Bhrigur vai varuni varunam pitaram upasasar. So the Bhrigu goes to his father and asks him, Adihi Bhago Brahmeti. Teach me what is Brahman. And then he's saying, he gives him Annam Pranam Chakshu Shrotram Mano Vachamiti. Tagam Ho Vacha. Tapasa Brahma Vijignyasa. Here it's very clear. He showed the other doors to this Brahman. Annam Pranam Chakshu Shrotram Mano Vakmiti. And then he said, Tapasa Brahma Vijijnasasva. So, what is tapasya? Tapas. Everybody is doing tapas. He's saying, Indriya Mano Ekagram Paramam Tapa Uchyate. When the senses and the mind are concentrated, that is called the highest tapas. So, this is the key. We had spoken about the key word. This is another key. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, the key to this door has to be turned the opposite side. He tells Mahapurush Maharaj, he tells other disciples also, he has to turn opposite side. So this is the key. You have to turn it now. And before you can turn it, there are certain stages you have to go through. So Bhrigu then, he went. So when Swamiji says, Vedanta speaks of a known God, Vedanta says this abstract, this absolute reality has to be made concrete. And it says, Janmadasya yata, from where the birth, etc., and the continuation of this universe comes into being. So this is what it is, Janmadasya yata. You don't have to go somewhere else. Here it is. Swamiji, one time when he was in Belur Math, sitting down under that mango tree, that holy mango tree, and he's saying, here is that Brahman. Where are you going here? Can't you see it here? And he spoke with such fervor and force that every one of them became stock still. And they experienced a higher state of mind. Baburam Maharaj, Swami Premananda, was going to do puja after his bath. He also went into an ecstatic mood. And then after some time, he's saying, biographers say about half an hour. So after that, the mood become diluted. He said, now okay, go and do puja. So that's what happened. We could not sustain it. To sustain any experience within your body or within your mind, you want to have tapasya. Without that, it's not. Now, it's not necessary that everybody will do japa and dhyana. Suppose there's a kind of an artist. That art itself becomes a tapasya. That person can realize God through that art. Suppose there's a musician. That person can devote his life and time to that music and can realize God through that. So whatever form you can take, the sadhanas are plenty, but the mool, that is the root, is tapas. Indriya mana ekagram paramam tapa uchyate. That's in the Mahabharata it comes. So we have Bhrigu, he goes and starts sa tapo tapyata, sa tapas taptva. And he did, and he's saying, he realized first as Brahman as annam, food. Now this food is not Brahma Arpanam, Brahma, not that food. It is food, it's the Virat, it's the Stula Sharira of Brahman. So that's what it means, not food, just food. So he realized that. Then he said, Adihi Bhagava, then he went again. We would have been very happy. Ha, mil gaya. Aur kya chahiye? But you see that Bhrigu had a great capacity. He wanted to further inquire. And then the next he experiences prana. That is the subtle aspect of this, the first experience, which is called the Hiranyagarbha. He experienced that. Again he comes to his father. Again he says, then he says, tapasa brahma vijignyasa tapasa. Then he's saying, know it true again, tapasya. Tapo brahmeti. Tapas itself is Brahman. Now this is a tremendous statement. That what you are practicing itself is the Brahman. And then again he goes, again he finds mano brahmeti vijana. Then he said he finds mind, and then the intellect, buddhi, and then ananda brahmeti vijana. So he understood as bliss. So at every level he is going higher and higher. At the same time, he's saying, Annam Brahmeti Vajanat, Mano Brahmeti. It is the microcosm and the macrocosm are simultaneously experienced. Don't think it is happening only here. Your experience has to transcend your body. Otherwise, what's the use of experience? So it has to become cosmic. And that cosmic experiences was what was experienced by this figure. And for every experience, there is an experiencer and the experience. It has to be both this inside and outside. Of course, in Vedanta, there is no inside, outside. But then both are complementary, both are experienced. And then he got it. You know, Sri Ramakrishna, in one of his experiences, is saying, one day while worshipping Shiva, I was about to offer a bay leaf on the head of the image when it was revealed to me that this Virat, this universe, itself is Shiva. After that, my worship of Shiva through an image came to an end. Another day, I was plucking flowers when it was revealed to me that the flowering plants were so many bouquets. It was shown to me that each plant was a bouquet adorning the universal form of God. This is the experience. So he experienced. Another Sri Ramakrishna experience also is saying, I used to worship, that's Kali, in the Kali temple. It was suddenly revealed to me that everything is pure spirit. The utensils of worship, the altar, the door frame, all pure spirit, Chaitanya. Men, animals, and living beings, all pure spirit. Then, like a madman, I began to shower flowers in all directions. In whatever I saw, I worshipped. This is experience. This is mystical. The highest experience, which is now, thank God for Sri Ramakrishna, he came and showed it to us. That same Vedantic truths that were spoken about, that were experienced there, he has again reiterated it for us and demonstrated it for us that this idea of oneness at that highest level is a spiritual oneness, where the individual is no more an individual. Because this individuality is a false, it's a creation of ajnana. Don't think you're also great. I am also great. Swami was saying, praising me to the skies. It comes and goes, don't worry. It is necessary for you to, at a starting point. But don't pin all your hopes on your individuality. Swamiji was saying, individuality, I want to see what it is, constantly changing. So your individuality, the I is constantly changing. So, and behind that is that reality which contains everything. And this is the entirety of your process. Slowly and slowly we come. Swamiji, in one of his, classical, you can say, words which he wrote for Advaita Ashrama Mayavati in his appeal. In whom is the universe? Who is in the universe? Who is the universe? In whom is the soul? Who is in the soul? Who is the soul of man? And knowing him and the universe as our own self eradicates all fear, destroys misery, and puts to end and brings everlasting life. So when he spoke these things, so he spoke about the demonstration of this oneness. And this oneness is what? It's the divine oneness. There is only one, and there can be only one. And the one has become the many through Maya. That's what the whole thing. So what you're seeing, the many, is a diffraction of that one. So as I began saying that these powerful doctrines of the Advaita Vedanta, saying it comes whenever a religion comes to the fore. And Swamiji says this. Advaita has saved India 3 times. And this time it has saved India again by Swami Vivekananda, Holy Mothers, Sri Ramakrishna. Save India means you're all Indians here. You better get used to the idea that you all saved. But you have to do some work there. You've got to start. Whatever you do it with concentration, with attention, and that itself will be, yes. I had said that the Hinduism does not start with any beliefs. And that's why it has got a tremendous freedom. Here Swamiji says, everyone are popes. Everybody is a popes of religion. They have only one pope. Here in Hinduism, everybody are popes. You become your own pope. The tremendous freedom has been given. The methods have been given, and it is now being acknowledged that the life has started from one single cell. Some cell in some billion years could replicate itself. And don't think you're also greater than that tree or the plant. The same genetic material is there also. Everything is there. The whole genetic code has been written. Your history has been written in each cell. Yes, your whole history. But that's the physical aspect of your history. The spiritual aspect of your history is also written in your mind. Through all these years and lifetimes and births of karma. And now you got to transcend this. That's what Brigu did. Transcend one level after another, and he made spiritual history. Thank you very much. I'll open it for questions. If you have questions, we can. Is it okay or should I continue? Swami? No, I wanted to give some time for questions. You can, because that's what we do in the US.
So I invite our devotees. So far, whatever Swamiji has spoken, in that if you want to have any clarity, you can come and ask the questions.
Yeah, and if you cannot, then I'll continue. Don't worry. But it has to. You see, you all devotees, don't be passive devotees. You've got to be a little active here. You've got to start exerting yourself. Otherwise, passive at that stage, you try to become like a sponge. You can just absorb everything. But that every sponge, when it is pressed a little, all that water goes out. So whatever you have absorbed will go out. You have to retain it. So that's why I like to have people having some activity.
Hello. Namaste, Swamiji. Hello, am I audible? Yeah. So my question is, you said that tapasya, like whatever one does, like a painter, if he can do tapasya through his art, but art is, a very pleasing thing. Like for example, if I speak for myself, I'm a lawyer, which is a very agitating job. So if I do my job, I do well, I do it with concentration. But then that is it, then how else one can proceed in that?
Do you stick to truth? A lawyer, huh?
In letter, yes.
In letter, they say the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So if you stick to truth and work, that becomes your tapasya. And in this age, Sri Ramakrishna says, in this Kali age, truth itself is the tapasya. So this, and art, if you're pleasing, what is pleasing? Tomorrow you will get displeased with your own art. But if you offer it to God, thinking that all art is divine, if the whole universe has come from that one consciousness, so everything is divine. We only have seen the profane side of things, the negative side of things. That's because of that ajnana. So once you pull that, you'll see all the divinity there. So because Sri Ramakrishna used to see divinity even in prostitutes. So that was because all that ajnana had been gone out. So you penetrate deep. Stick to truth, work hard and see what happens. That's a tapasya.
Thank you so much.
Okay, the question is for those who never heard the question is an experience of oneness. Is it God realization or pre-God realization? Now, what is the God business you have started here? I was trying to avoid this idea of God business. You see, the conceptions of God are different in different religions, and as you evolve spiritually, your conceptions of God also evolve. You know, Swami Vivekananda, in one of his lectures, he's saying, it is in the Upanishad you find the dethroning of the God. Yes. And saying the breaking down of the personality of God and putting the impersonal in its place. And at the same time, you cannot keep the personality of a human being. That personality also is broken and the impersonality is brought in. And then the Upanishads show the development, spiritual, when the two lines converge. The impersonal God approaching the impersonal man. So, when you talk about God realization, you see a little light and you're saying that's God realization. That's nothing to do with God realization. So, it is nothing but, you can say, the reality is called Satchidananda. Okay, now you look at it as Ishvara also. Look at it like that. The sum total of all souls is Ishvara. Your soul, my soul, and the hens and the dogs and the cats and all the plants, everything together is Ishvara. Okay. Now you got this idea, God. What God realization? If you get this, it's enough. The word God itself, it's become so, Swamiji, when he's saying, why do you use the word God? Saying, because I use it because that word has been associated with all things holy, with all things, you can say, full of sacrifices, etc. Keep that word, but remove all your superstitions associated with it. That's why Swamiji kept on using the word God. But we use the word God in a different context. So Vedanta says the sum total of all souls with their gross and subtle and causal bodies is Ishvara. Okay? Now if you can get that, you've reached, not pre or post and all that. Don't bring all these these media terms, prevision. There's nothing to do with that. So it's an experience. When you experience it, if there's a doubt, then the experience itself is doubtful. One sadhu had come. We don't remember. He come to, he's telling Hari Maharaj, Turiyanand, sab hoye gache hamar. So Hari Maharaj saying, doubt, any doubt? No. Sure? No doubt? Yeah, there's a slight doubt. Holo na, he's saying. When you experience it, there will be no doubt. Vidyate hridaya granthi chiddati sarva samshaya. Chiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishti paravare. So, you will know that this experience is authentic, and you have got to take the Shastras as a guide post to see where it has to tally with yourself. So, you keep on proceeding. But every experience, do you have a doubt that I'm standing here? Sure? He is laughing. Maybe he's doubting. So religion also is something like this. Straight. So it's like they use like amlaki in your hand. Here it is. You don't have any doubts. So remove all your conception of God. These conceptions of God were given for the growing plant. Your own soul is that God, Vedanta says. Where are you going to search it? So if you can go deep and deeper and deeper, as we had said, layer after layer, then you will be. Swami Vivekananda one time in the US, he said, like, he put the hand like he said, I am God, and people are horrified. Yeah, obviously. What is this? But that's the highest truth that he was demonstrating, he was explaining. As I said, the moment you have something outside, you have a subject and object, you will always have a duality. When you put that God inside, in the self, then you can say, that is that. You will find there is no doubt there. Okay? हाँ, बहुत है महाराज. You know, the question is about karma, and everything is predestined. And why are we? What was the question? How are we liable for a bad karma? You have done that karma, and you are liable for that karma. Me, I'm not liable. You have done that. But the doctrine of karma is very vast. At the same time, though lazy people, Swamiji says, will talk about predestination. We are niyati, amar bhagyo, amar kopal. The active ones will do, there's something called a purushakara, self-effort. Okay? That thing is there within you also. Karma also is there, purushakara also is there. The moment you start exerting yourself, you can counter your bad karma, whatever you have done. Oh, Holy Mother says, where you're supposed to get a wound as big as a plowshare, you will get a pinprick. Japa, etc. The whole idea of prayaschitta karma comes from there only. There's nitya karma, naimittika karma, and then prayaschitta karma, kamya karma, nishiddha karma. Don't do nishiddha karma. Nishiddha means that which is prohibited. You should not do that. You've done that, and now you put your finger in the fire and saying, is it predestined? You will get burnt. But this great power is given to each and every one of us, this Purushakara. And if you don't use it, then you will start crying. Amar Durbhagyo. Nothing. Saying, Swamiji says, you are the creator of your own destiny. All the strength and succor that you want is within yourself. Therefore, make your own future. If you have committed mistakes, okay, in the future, I'm not going to commit mistakes, I'm going to go straight. This is the policeman here, the judge here, the jury, the executioner here, the karma. Yes, it's one of the finest doctrines that India has ever produced. And the saddest thing is Indians are not applying that doctrine. Lazy, useless, foolish. Yes, it is such a great power that you have, each one of us. The moment we are talking about the I, the moment the I starts developing, it starts taking responsibility. Before what you did, that's not. your eye was still developing. There's an old story. I think I'll tell you. Because we have time, I can tell stories. There was a great sage, Ani Mandavya Rishi. So he was sitting in his ashram and meditating. And then he suddenly seen some people running. And when they're running away, they drop something. Rishi is meditating. What happened? Behind those people running, there were all those guards and on horseback they came. They found some gold ornaments there. The king's treasury was robbed. And they found, oh, you are here. You're trying to pretend you're meditating, but you're a thief. Say, no, I don't have anything to do with it. No. But they caught him and took him to the king. The king is also saying, you're a big sadhu you are, huh? Meditating, but all my jewels are all found in your ashram. Said, no, I don't have anything to do with it. Then they put some shula in a ear. They put all across his body, so that to torture him, so that he will reveal. So he is now wondering, what karma did I do that these spears are poking inside me? And he was a great sage. He called Yama. Hey, come here. Yama comes frightened, saying, what happened? Why is this? What karma I've done? No, when you were small, that there's birds, you should take that kusha grass and poke them. And that has come. But he said, I was very young, I do not know anything. No, but you did it, now you take it. I said, okay, I'll take it for now. But henceforth, only after the sense of self, the sense of I is developed in a person, in a boy or a child, that person can take responsibility, then the law of karma can be operative. So whatever you did when you were little, that is cancelled, okay? But after you got idea of responsibility, then the law of karma comes in. And the law of karma is a law of freedom. It's not a law of bondage. This is what people tell, oh, my karma is bondage. It's a law of freedom. So now you start exerting yourself and overcoming. Okay? I think you... wait, give that chance. Your question itself is complicated. You talked about choice. You see, there is someone before you can. There is no such thing as a free will. Today, even science and psychology says there is no such thing as a free will. You have a will. Swamiji says, my will depends on something that comes from outside. And my will is a reaction to something. So there is no free. Will is bound in time. Yeah. What predetermined? You have it. You have it. It's not predetermined. There is no free will. There's a will. There's not free. You got it? I think he still looks confused. There is a will which is a reaction to something coming from outside. It's always a reaction to something. How do you know? How do you know? That also the question. How do you know? You see, the law of karma also works like a network. The whole thing, sometimes, like take for instance, there's a war going on. everybody is affected in that country. So there is something called a samashti karma. There is something called a vyashti karma. If you keep on doing good, that entire place becomes good. Sometimes due to some factors, now we don't know what these mighty factors are. Sometimes whole societies, whole nations have to suffer, not just one or two individuals. What did they do? Yes, sometimes it's a great cleaning up of processes also going on. So we are not going into that realm. What we are talking about on the individual, the samashti and vyashti, both are linked. Your karma, if you keep on doing good, affects you and affects the other people also. You always noticed, if a person keeps on telling lies or keep on doing bad, you see his features itself will show that this fellow has got this kind of karma. So your karma always bounces back. It goes there and bounces back. Suffering, everybody suffers. Yeah, but then we don't know the exact causes of why that other person is suffering. I'll tell you another story. I think it was in one famous book. There was a painter, a sculptor, a painter who wanted to paint Jesus Christ. So he went around the city in medieval Europe and he saw one model. He think, I want to paint Jesus Christ. So you come, I'll pay you. So that person sat down and the painting was so beautiful. After some years, he wanted to paint the devil, Satan. So he went around searching for model. He's searching. He found one fellow saying, evil looking. He's saying, come, I'll pay you. I want to paint the devil. And that person comes and then starts weeping. Saying, what happened? I am the same person whom you painted as Jesus. But I fell into bad times. Now I'm become. Okay. So always remember, karma is samashti and vyashti. And how it is, they say, there's a song, Karman ki gati nyari. That is exactly what it is. But you see, like I said, the idea is to come out of the laws of karma. There are higher and higher laws of karma. So if whatever you do, yat karoshi, yadashnasi, yat juhosi, dadansi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurusha. See, whatever you eat, whatever you do, everything, you do it as an offering to me. Then what happens? The results of that karma are kind of null. It doesn't come to you. So keep on doing good. So if you see people, when they come to this mutt, see what happens? They feel a little peace and quiet. You know why? Of course, Sri Ramakrishna is here. But all these are good people and they're doing japa and dhyana and this and that. Tomorrow, if everybody keeps on telling lies here, what happens? What will happen? Nobody will feel peace and quiet here. They will all feel run away. So you are changing the atmosphere of the place. In the gospel, you find Master Masai, he's writing like even the Ganga is kind of in joy, it is swimming, and the trees and the skies and all. And the whole of Prakriti changes because Sri Ramakrishna was there. So when a good person is there, he can change the entire Prakriti of this place. Yes. So that's why Vasantavat Lokahitam Charanta. That person walks like a spring. So this is what you are supposed to do and get. What you do, what you think. Because we do one thing and think something else. The power of karma gets reduced. So Sri Ramakrishna says, Monmukh ek kara. Make your speech and mind one. You become unstoppable. Keep on doing it. And if that person is, pray for all the suffering people. Your suffering is nothing compared. If you go, there are these wars going on, famines and floods. And look at your suffering and look at their suffering. You should feel ashamed of yourself. I'm suffering so much badly. You go there. If you don't get food for 2 days, you see what happens. Those people are without food for months and months on end. the conflict zones. So send a thought, a good thought for them. Pray for them. You see what happens to you. You'll become more and more compassionate. You will become more. That whole idea is to become wide. So use a law of karma from the Vyashti to go to the Samashti. As I said, this is a very powerful, you can say, instrument that you have, that you can do wonders for this world and for yourself. What makes us small? Selfishness. Again. Me and my. And so then we get caught up. So these laws of karma are trying to make us unselfish. And yet, somehow we want to pull back. Keep on doing work. Whether you want it or no, you see, some good or some bad will happen to you. So, it is in the Bhagavad Gita, it will say, like the smoke always associated with fire. So, your good deeds also will be associated with something bad, and your bad deeds also will be associated with something which is good. So, if you can do it, do it. And here you cannot blame anybody. You cannot blame God. You cannot blame your father and mother and this and that. You blame yourself. Like Swamiji says, if you have faith in all the 330 crore gods and we don't have faith in yourself, there's no salvation for you. Have faith in yourself. And if you have that faith, you can move mountains. Swamiji says. So move mountains. You don't need a bulldozer. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Sunday, 6 o'clock, the Doctrine of Avatars. Doctrine of Avatar, 6 o'clock.
Day after tomorrow.
Day after tomorrow. Sunday, 6 p.m. Thank you.